from Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, start at verse 1. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools, who do not know what they do wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. As a dream comes when there are many cares, so the speech of a fool when there are many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in fools, so fulfill your vow. It is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin, and do not protest to the temple messenger. My vow was a mistake. Why should God be angry at what you say and destroy the work of your hands? Much dreaming and many words are meaningless, therefore stand in awe of God. If you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied, don't be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner except to feast his eyes on them? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of a rich man permits him to sleep. I've seen a grievous evil under the sun. Wealth hoarded to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when he has a son, there's nothing left for him. Naked a man comes into from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor, and he can carry in his hand. This too is a grievous evil. As a man comes, so he departs, and what he does gain, since he toils for the wind. All his days he eats in darkness with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the opportunity to come together today in order to study your word. Guide us in all truth and help us to apply it in our lives. In your Son's name. Continuing our study from the books of poetry. Currently we're looking at Ecclesiastes. The last 3 weeks we took a look at some things out of Proverbs. Obviously we didn't look at all of Proverbs. It'd take forever. You couldn't do it in 3 weeks, let's put it that way, or 3 40-minute classes. Some of the things we got on wisdom from the book of Proverbs. First of all, there's 2 types of wisdom. The wisdom of God is like a virtuous woman. The name is wisdom. That's what wisdom should be called, because it's about true wisdom. The wisdom of man is like an adulterous woman. Solomon calls her name folly or foolishness. We need to listen to one and run from the other. You can guess which one we need to listen to. Wisdom and understanding will bring happiness, contentment, satisfaction. God's wisdom will promote peace and safety. If you live by the way God says, you'll be more likely to find peace in your life and be able to avoid many of the pitfalls that life has. Wisdom, or the lack thereof, is seen in our actions. So a person can look at your actions to see whether you're a wise person or not. Wise according to the world or wise according to God. We looked at the fact that the view of self is what determines whose wisdom is followed. In other words, how we look at ourselves. Do we look at ourselves selfishly or selflessly? The heavenly wisdom comes from humility, or putting others before yourself. That's selfless. That is the view of the wisdom that comes from God in heaven. Earthly wisdom comes from our own selfish ambitions, promoted by Satan and his teachings. Every action, good and bad, is going to produce fruit. Sometimes we always think about the fruit of good actions, but the reality is there's fruit from bad actions. It's just not good fruit, it's bad fruit. So we need to keep that in mind. It's kind of like you can plant an apple tree and have apples, or you can plant kudzu and get kudzu. Which do you want? We looked at a whole list of things last week that were just real quick. Live this way, and this is the way wisdom should be. And if you don't, here's what's going to happen. It's just one versus the other. Or if you don't if you act this way, that's bad, and you really need to do this. So we looked at a couple chapters and a bunch of quick sayings like that. A couple of them I just popped out to remind us of. This first one is, a wise man listens to advice, while a fool goes about doing whatever he wants. A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker or someone who makes fun of it doesn't listen to anything. And the last one I wrote down is, a thoughtful man overlooks an insult, while a fool jumps in and tries to straighten them out. And those are just a couple of the, I don't know, what we look at, 20, 30 of them? There's quite a few of them last year. These are just some real quick ones there. Today, we're going to take a look at Ecclesiastes, which was written by Solomon. Most people think he wrote it late in his life, when his wisdom really kicked in. Sometimes he had the knowledge and the wisdom earlier in life, he just didn't really apply it very well. As he got older, it's like most of us, we look back and go, oops. Yeah, I can see how I should have done what I thought I should have done then, but I chose to do something different. Anyway, as he writes this book, we're going to look this week at chapter 5, and next week we'll look at, I think it's chapter 12, but another chapter in there. It's in the book. And so I want to take a minute for it right here. Chapter 5 starts off by saying, guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Everything we're going to look at in this chapter, it's broken up. It's kind of seems like different topics, but in reality it's all about one topic. One topic. Guard your steps, this part here, and that topic is basically standing in awe of God. That's the title that man stuck in here on my Bible, and it really fits, but it's for the entire chapter, because it's going to contrast that awe or dependence upon yourself versus that awe or dependence upon God. Which way you going to look at it? So the first thing he starts talking about is worship. And he says, guard your steps when you go before God. Of course, in this particular case, he's talking about going to Solomon's temple. The top temple that he had to go do what? Worship. How do we worship today? In our hearts. It's not just showing up on Sunday morning and punching the clock. Yes, we're going to worship here in about an hour. But in reality, Romans 12 teaches us that worship is what? It's a way of life. It's every single thing you do. The minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. It's your actions and the things you do. That's what worship really is. This is just kind of what we call corporate worship, where we all gather together to sing in one accord, to gather with the saints on the first day of the week to remember the sacrifice that God made and thank Him by worshiping Him. Okay? So when he's talking about worship, he's talking about, at this particular time, going together in a corporate setting to the temple. To us, it would be gathering together to worship Him on the first day of the week, or when the other time we gather together. So he starts off and he tells us to do what? Guard your steps. In other words, watch out. Be careful. That's why he starts off by saying, be careful. And then he gives them some real clear advice. Do what? Listen. Listen. It's better to listen than offer sacrifice. Specifically the sacrifice of a fool. What's the sacrifice of a fool? Remember in the Bible, I can't remember, y'all can correct me, one of the prophets said, God said to one of the prophets, I would rather that you obeyed me. Samuel said it, obeyed me. Yeah, I said it to the other king before David, wasn't it? Saul? No? Yeah. I would rather you obeyed me than worshiped me 100 times and give me all kinds of sacrifices and all these things. I'd rather you do what I said. What I wrote down here is the key to it is shut up and listen. How many times we try to tell other people if they would just shut up and listen, things would be totally different because they would understand it differently if they took the time to listen. Yes, you told me shut up and listen. Okay.
Yeah, shut up and listen. I agree that that's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that tongue in that mouth is worse than any of them all put together. James tells us that. But yeah, be quiet and listen. This is relevant because he wants us to listen to what God wants from us. Instead, what does man do? We go around and tell God what we want, what he wants, right? I mean, in our everyday lives, instead of saying, man, yeah, God, but really, and go back to Saul, perfect example, he said, yeah, I know that's what you said, but look what I can do for you if I can just keep these people alive and show this. I can show the world that you're much greater than that. I'm sorry. God probably already thought of that. But God already told you what he wanted. But in man's wisdom, we tell God what he really wants. You ever thought about that? You ever had one of your children tell you, oh, no. I know that you think that, Dad. But in reality, what you really want is this. This is what you really want me to do, right? Wow. Of course, I can't do that in my age. My parents could, that age. But that's basically the thought that God has is, say what? And too many times, we go about telling God what he wants. When we look at worship today, we have a big struggle with that. Not just in Christendom, but in those that tried to follow the Bible and call themselves the church the way God wanted us in the first century. They still have a tendency to try to make things the way they think God would want it. Don't they? Try to decide that. I was reading a book that my daughter had been reading, had to read for extra credit or something. And the writer was talking about the struggle with the millennials today, trying to get them to go to church or whatever. And it's because they struggle with organized religion and you've heard it all. But one of the things that I was trying to point out is how churches all over are trying to do things to entice them to become a part. Did God ever try to entice us to become his children? Only in saying, I'm going to offer you life eternal. Beyond that, the choice is whose? Ours. He doesn't say, okay, if you'll come in, I'll give you $50 more. If you come in, I will make you healthy, wealthy, and wise, or whatever. I'm going to give you this, or I'm going to make you feel good. In fact, sometimes it says you're not. Matter of fact, Jesus said very clearly, what happens when you join him? You're going to suffer. You have to give it up. Oh, be like him. Oh, wait a minute. But see, today's world, no different than the last 2,000 or 5,000 years, or however long you want to go back, man, in his own infinite wisdom, has decided what God really should get, what he really needs, instead of shutting up and listening. And it's so funny because it's so simple. And people go to all great lengths to do all kinds of things and to justify why they should do this. But God just tells you real simply what he wants. Yeah? Real simple. All right. Go on. Be careful what you say before God. Why? Is he listening? Absolutely. Matter of fact, he says, be slow to speak. Be slow to speak. Make sure you've thought it out. Not just out of your mouth, but in the verses here that Solomon says, he's talking about be careful in your heart. You see? Sometimes our heart is still grinding away, even though we've got our mouth, our teeth clamped on our tongue, so we don't say something we shouldn't, But our heart is still churning away and saying, oh yeah, saying, keep it calm, keep it thoughtful. Think about it, because God's listening to not just your mouth, but your heart. You got to remember that. He can hear your heart just as well. So even if you bit your tongue and the other person didn't know that you said that or felt that way, God knows you did. God knows you did. Be careful, slow to speak. Make sure you thought it out. Let your words be few. Ever notice that when somebody starts talking and going blah, 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 guess what happens? Don't they always get in trouble? Open mouth, insert foot. The less you say, the better off you're going to be. There's less things to shove in your mouth. Solomon was pretty smart when he said that. Let your words be few. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, when they try to justify what they're doing, they start babbling. You know what I mean? They just all these reasons and logic and this and that and theologies and, all this stuff. God said, what are you doing that for? Say yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And then the last key part of that is this. Remember, God is where? In heaven. Where are we? On earth. So the question ought to come real quickly to mind. Who's in charge? The one in heaven or the one on this earth? Obviously, we understand that if we don't abide by the laws of this land, that the laws of the government is over us and will in fact enforce those. We understand that real clearly. We got the God of heaven who has all power, all knowledge, all everything, as we talked about several weeks ago. And we're sitting here trying to tell him the way it is. When we're just humans, he can see eternity. He can see everywhere. We can barely see outside of our own eyes. Half the time we can't see from here to the door and know exactly what's happening. Right now, I have no idea what's in y'all's heart. And you're this close to me. Forget about the rest of the world, but God knows everybody in this room and out there. And then we sit here and try to tell him what it should be. Next section, next group of verses goes in and starts talking about making a vow. What's a vow? Promise. Promise. It says, when you make a vow to God, don't drag your feet. Go ahead and do it. I always think of the illustration about the guy he's out in the ocean or whatever, and he fell off a boat or whatever. I don't know how it starts. I'm not good at jokes or whatever. But anyway, he's drowning, and he starts pleading with God to save him and bring him in. If he'll do that, he'll commit his life to him and do this, and give him all his wealth, and do all these different things, And suddenly he sees short land way up ahead, and he's swimming hard for it. The closer he gets, the more he starts backing off. Well, yeah, how about half of it? How about, I'll go on Sundays. Just Sunday morning services. When he gets to shore, by the time he's there, he did it all by myself anyway. Where were you? So forget it. That's kind of the way we think in our own minds too many times. It says, when you make a vow, don't drag it out, go do it. You made it before God, you made it to God, go do it. It's better not to vow than not to fulfill it. So don't make a promise if you're not going to do it. It's really simple. If you're not going to do it, don't say you will. It's one of the things, Bill has, he testified to this. One of the biggest issues we have in Cuba, one of the things, is people ask for things. They don't have anything. So you understand, it's understandable. But one of the things that I've trained myself over the time is because you want to give them everything, and I intend to do everything I can to make it happen. But sometimes it doesn't. So when they say, hey, can you get me? My answer is, I'll see what I can do. Why? I don't want to say something to them, make them think I'm going to do something, and then it doesn't happen. Because it has happened to them many, many times where people have said, sure, and then they forget. Or they can't come up with the funds, or whatever it is. And it's the same situation in life. You make a commitment, follow through, and do it promptly. If you can't, not sure, don't make the commitment. It's better to say, I'll do what I can, and then do it, than say, I'll do it, and then not be able to because you were sick, or you came up with no resources, or whatever the excuse may be. And that's basically what he's trying to say here. If you make a commitment, do it. You better not make a commitment if you're not going to fulfill it. Because God gets no pleasure from the person who doesn't follow through, who doesn't do what he says. We used to talk about in the generation before specifically, our word is it's not worth much anymore in our country, is it? We're going to live in a time when it's, what they call it, situation ethics. Depends on what today is. Today, I meant it. Tomorrow, I may not have meant it. So how do you know if it's any good? Word should be there. Should be your bond. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin by saying some things and getting yourself to lead you down a path that there's no way out. You got yourself in a position because you talked yourself into it. You ever done that? I think we all have. There you go. She's not here. Good time to say that. Exactly. I know how that is. I never do that. Oh, that's right. You were gone a couple weeks. Don't complain when you say something you shouldn't have. In other words, if you've already made a commitment, don't go complaining to everybody around you. Well, God's not going to hold me to that because He really knows I shouldn't have done that, or shouldn't have said that, or shouldn't have what. I'm sorry. Don't complain. Stuck your foot in, swallow it. Keep going. Get yourself out of it. Remember the Bible talks about the guy who made the vow that he was so pleased with what God had done for him. He promised him what? Next thing, come out of my house. He just didn't expect it to be his daughter. Oops, wait a minute. That's not what I meant, God. And sometimes that's what happens to us, because we say something meaning well, but we don't understand the ramifications. Therefore, he tells us, he doesn't tell us there. He does. Basically, he says, use few words. Don't say much. That will keep you out of trouble. That's what he said. Okay. All right. So stop thinking and talking. He talks about much dreaming and many words are meaningless. In other words, that's thought and thinking and talking, and we're thinking about, how it can be this or that, and we start talking. Stop doing that, and instead, what are we to do? Stand in awe of God. The whole point here is he's trying to make a distinction between us, what we think, what we say, based on what we think, versus God. And he's saying, put your respect in the right place. Quit looking at yourself to have the answers to God. When you want to worship and put somebody on a pedestal, don't put yourself, put God. He's the one you should be happy and held in awe of. He's the one from heaven. You're not. So therefore, it's a place of priority. You place him in a position that you recognize that everything you do is on a lower level compared to him. Goes on to talk about wealth in verse 10. He says, if you're poor, what are you supposed to do? Get over it. Accept it. As a matter of fact, he goes on to say, what'd you expect? You're poor, you're going to be poor. There's always somebody that's got something more than you. He's going to be down on your head. He's always going to be trying to take it from you. That's life. That's the way Solomon basically puts it. He says, as a matter of fact, the king, who is the king? Solomon, gets a cut of it as well. So he's saying, if you don't have anything, you happen to be, your lot in life is to not be rich, accept it. Get over it. It's not like you're going to buy your way out of it. You're not going to suddenly come up on a scheme and get rich or whatever. How many people try to find get rich schemes? How many has ever dreamed of getting rich? Oh, come now. We all do. It's man's basic nature to think about those things. Yeah, they're just advertising now. It's coming what day? June or July. It's all on TV. The date's coming. And they're coming to my house. Yours? That's funny. Everybody knows that. We need to accept our lot in life, is what he's saying. And then he goes on and he says, okay, if you're poor, you're poor. That's the way life is. And you're really not going to change that much from that position because there's always somebody over you that's going to try their best to keep you in that position. Isn't that the way life really is? So accept where you're at. I mean, you can do your best to do forward, and our country is unique in that aspect. We don't have kings beating us down. We didn't used to. But from the standpoint of really changing, it really doesn't happen. So accept your position there. And then he goes on, he says, on the other hand, whoever loves money, how much money does he have? Not enough. That love of money gets you. You want more and more and more and more and more. You can never get enough of it. So he's saying be satisfied with what you got. If you're rich, be satisfied. If you're poor, be satisfied. You know? Root of all evil. It's the love. And that's where he is once again. As a matter of fact, we're not going to get into it in chapter 6 and the last part of chapter 5. He starts saying one of the blessings is being able to enjoy being wealthy. You know? If that's your position or what God has given you, enjoy it. Instead of what we're going to talk about, the anxieties and the problems and everything else that comes from it. You know, so he's not attacking wealth or the lack thereof. What he's saying is enjoy, be satisfied with where you are, what you have. Quit always looking for the other side of the fence or whatever it is. All right, so if you're wealthy, accept it, be content. If you're poor, accept it, be content. The lover of money is never, ever satisfied. As a matter of fact, the more you have, the more you want. The more you have, there's more people trying to get it. You know? If you have a lot, as a matter of fact, when they talk about somebody win the lottery, suddenly they have relatives they never even heard of before. You're related half? Yeah, here, want to do a blood test? Yeah. Or friends, or this, or that, or good causes, or whatever. The fact of the matter is, if you have something, people are out to get it. They want their cut of it. Want their cut of it. Speaking of cut, did I mention this? Oh, yeah. Talking about being poor, said those with power and wealth will see what you are, that you stay the way you are. And my other note said, everyone gets a cut from your work, even the government or the king. That's true in our country. It's just not the king. Okay? But it's still the government. Everybody gets it. No matter how hard you work, somebody's getting cut of it. Back to the wealthy. The more you have, the more people are after it. And the abundance of a rich man, how well does he sleep? Not very well. He goes on and says he stays up nights. Whereas the guy that doesn't have anything, sleeps like a baby. Mostly because he's worked hard and worn out. Sometimes that's something to be said for that. Whereas a rich man may not have worked hard. All he's got to do is worry about who's coming to get it. You know? Who's coming to get it? We're not going to break in the sea. All right? So, the last section I want to talk about starts around verse 15. Actually, it's a couple verses before that, I think. But verse 15 tells us that man comes into this world and he's going to leave how? Same way you came in. You can't take a suitcase with you. You can't take the brand new Cadillac. How many people want to be married with a Cadillac so they have something to drive around, right? Lots of luck. The rusting in the deserts in Nevada. The fact of the matter is, you came in with absolutely nothing. Going out exactly the same way. And that's a hard lesson, but it's something that Solomon's trying to get us to understand. Hoarded wealth. When you hoard wealth, you hoard it up and you won't share and use it for things God intended you to use it for, what's going to happen? Bad things are going to happen to you. You know, you're going to lose it. Or lose your life. Or something. You got something, somebody's going to be out to get it. It's going to bring you bad things. You don't give it out or don't use it for what God wants. Hoarding. Wealth is lost through misfortune. Okay, so you got it. You know, the stock market crash of, what is it, 29? 29, and all the people that were so wealthy and saying they didn't have anything, what they ended up doing? Said, I don't know what to do without it. Jumped out the window. Others went on to try to survive in life at soup kitchens and whatever else. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is, sometimes misfortune just casts its lot. How many of you sat here and predicted what would happen in 2008? Not me. My business is always up and down, a year or two up, a year or two down. Never expected 7 or 8 years of being down. You know, never expected that. Misfortune gets in the way sometimes. You can't control everything around you. Those things have an effect. Come back. Never in our history has the value of property gone down. But suddenly it did. Wow. You know, so everybody's always saying, oh yeah, this and that, because it's solid. It's always there, but you got to still keep paying the taxes and the bank and all those other things or whatever for it, if it ain't worth nothing. And that's never happened in our country until then. So it goes to show that misfortune's always just around the corner. We just don't know what it is. We don't know how this works. All right. He finishes it up by saying, man toils for the wind. What does that mean? Toils, works. Works hard, sweats, toils. For what? The wind. I say, anybody reach out here? Show me the wind. Anybody got any wind in their pocket? Can't get it. So you're working for nothing, basically. We work for nothing because we're going to die. We're not going to have anything left. And if we're sweating and working and toiling and trying to get what is the wind that just keeps eluding us, how's your life going to be? It's going to be full of what? Misery. Matter of fact, Hawkins says great frustration, affliction, and anger.
Always searching.
Always searching. Always. So when we look at the wealth, when we look at that, where's the dependence on that? On self. See, quit doing that because things are going to happen. Instead, you need to be placing your I didn't want to use the word faith, but that's what it is. Your trust, your dependence on God. And that's what he's trying to say. Who can you stand in awe of? Yourself for all your great accomplishments? No. Because they're in fall just like that. God gives you something that's not going anywhere. God does something that's not going anywhere. God tells you to do something, do it because he knows why, and you just need to do it because he's smarter than I am. On the other hand, I can reject all that. I can say, I can do it by myself. In fact, our country has a basic premise that we lift ourselves, we pull ourselves up by what? Bootstraps. We talk about how proud we are that we can come from nothing and work so hard and accomplish so much. And in this country, we can achieve anything if we set ourselves to it. And to a large degree, that's true. But we can also fail just as fast because it's not totally up to us. And what we think we know isn't always factual. Okay? I forgot to write this down. Racing out in the parking lot. So the question I have here is, who are we in awe of? God or myself? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. I want us to turn to Matthew. Jesus tells us, chapter 5, do not do your acts of, chapter 6 actually, verse 1, he says, be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men, to be seen by them. You know what Solomon just got done saying? Quit doing what you think. Instead, do what God wants. See, they were doing things in order for them to be elevated and for people to be in awe of them and their worship for God. And here Jesus is saying, no. As a matter of fact, when you give, do it in secret. When you pray, stop babbling. Stop standing up there and using a lot of fancy words just for the fun of it. So the people are impressed because they're not supposed to be in awe of you. The awe should be on God. When you fast, quit showing off to the world because it's not about being in awe of you. It's about being in awe of God and what He has done. So Jesus turns right around and tells them the exact same thing. Our awe and our respect should be for God and what He calls us to do. Quit trying to bring it upon ourselves. Verses back in chapter 5, verse 33. Tells us, don't swear, or do not swear at all. Instead, we're to simply say, yes or no. You know what Solomon said? Few words. We're trying to explain and justify and do whatever and make these promises, blah, blah, blah. Just say yes, say no, and do it. Jesus echoes the exact same thing Solomon says. Going on in chapter 6, verse 19. Do not store up your treasures where? On earth. Why? What did Solomon say is going to happen? Something's going to happen to them. Somebody's going to come get them. You're going to lose them. Whatever. Don't put all your treasure there on earth. Put your treasure or your value where? In heaven. Once again, is it all about what I accomplish, or is it about what God accomplishes? You got to put your priorities in the right place, where our awe should be. So don't store up treasures on earth. Whatever your treasure is going to control your heart. And whatever your heart does is what your hands do, isn't it? So we need to make sure our value, what we value, is in heaven. Goes on to tell us, don't worry, be content. Whether you have a lily in the field or a bird or wherever you are in your station in life, just like Solomon said. Because what's God going to do? He's going to take care of you. God will take care of you. I love that song. God will take care of you. And as a matter of fact, he says, if you'll seek first God's kingdom, God's righteousness, and stop worrying about today, that puts God in charge. It's the awe in Him and not in me. And then the last thing I want us to remember is in Luke chapter 12, verse 13 through 21. Find the man who said, I'm a rich man. I've got great things. We're going to have a great harvest. Instead of helping my neighbor out, what am I going to do with it? Hoard it. Put it up, build me a bigger barn, and keep it to myself so that I can be dependent upon me for success. The Bible says, who ate that product? It wasn't him. God took his life that day, and he ended up giving it all to somebody else because he couldn't take it. Solomon was a smart man. Jesus echoed exactly the same thing he said when it comes to that. We need to be in awe of God and remember, be humble, and put ourselves back. And I know it's hard. I struggle with it every day because I'm in business, and and we try to do things, and we should always try to do our best. We should always work hard. That's what toil means. But at the end of the day, we need to remember, it's not about what I did. It's about what God did through me. Real out. All right. Any last thoughts? Questions? Next week, we'll look at the next lesson. Lesson number 11.